Well, it finally happened. A Glock clone has come to the channel, and this time from Ruger. I'm Chris with Jerry'sOutdoorSports.com, and this is the RXM. Glock clones are really nothing new, and many companies have tried their hand at perfecting Glock perfection. Ruger's the latest to do this, and they've teamed up with Magpul to achieve this. I honestly can't think of two companies I'd prefer to work together on a project like this. So what is the RXM? Well, to put it bluntly, it's a Gen 3-esque Glock 19 clone that comes with all the bells and whistles and extras that would have cost you about $1,000 to put onto a Glock 19 yourself. Now, I should admit I'm not the biggest fan of Glocks. I love them for their simplicity and dead reliability, but that's where any interest in them really ends for me. But let's talk about what Ruger did to perfect Glock perfection. The first and best change that Ruger made was getting a proper set of sights on there. Glock hasn't managed to get their head screwed on right about this in 40 years, despite literally all of us complaining about it. There's a couple of upcharged special editions that have good sights on them from Glock, but for the most part, it's still the plastic front and rear with a dot and trough that is the most fragile aspect of the Glock system. I've actually managed to run into a door frame hard enough that I gouged the rear sight to the point where it was almost unusable. Ruger just chose to do it right the first time. The back sight is blacked out and serrated, and the front is partially serrated but has a tritium vial with a white outline in it, and they are the perfect height for a lower 1/3 cowitness. H&K, take notes on that. If you like content like this, then you're going to love our giveaways, like this Browning X-Bolt and 6.5 PRC with a Leica scope. If you want a chance to get this, then follow the link tree in the description. If you want to support the channel directly, then visit our physical store or our web store for all of your Freedom Seed needs. Also, make sure to follow us on X and Facebook, where we post specials and I post memes that will eventually get me fired. The optics mounting solution is brilliant, and if it proves robust enough, then it should become an industry standard. By arranging the provided studs in the proper orientation, you can mount RMSc, RMR, and Delta Point Pro on the RXM. Boy, that's a lot of R's. Given Ruger's high quality machining, I don't see these being a failure point. And the nice thing is it completely removes an obnoxious barrier from trying to figure out which optic will fit on your system. This is the way that pistol mounted optics need to go in the future. The front and rear cocking serrations are deep and aggressive, and I had no problems with manipulation at all. That being said, I wouldn't mind if there were a couple extra grooves in the back just to ensure good purchase when you've got an optic mounted on there. That being said, I did all of the manipulation of the RXM using the front cocking serrations. Go ahead and tell me in the comments why I'm wrong to do that. There's also a line that runs horizontally along the pistol that's pretty much just there for aesthetics, and I'm here for it. They managed to make a very good looking handgun. We all know Ruger can make a good handgun, so the high quality of the slide is really no surprise to me. The main event for me really is the frame. Magpul has teased us with a lot of different systems like their SMG and the Masada that have never really made it to consumers. Yeah, I know we got the ACR, which was a zombified shadow of what it was supposed to be. But this really gives us a chance to see what Magpul wanted us to get. And I have to admit that there may be some more genius in Magpul than I gave them credit for. The texture is good. It's not as abrasive as skateboard tape, but it's still grippier than Glock's rough texture finish, which that's not really surprising given Magpul's success with pistol grips and foregrips. There is an undercut, though it's a little bit conservative. I wouldn't mind it being a little bit deeper in there. The mag release is small, probably even smaller than the first 3 generations of Glocks, but it is recessed with a ramp in there and easy to hit. The RMX ships with, unsurprisingly, Magpul's Glock mags, which are some of the worst mags out there for Glocks. I tried it with regular stock Glock mags and ETS mags, and I had no issues whatsoever. In fact, it was 100% reliable the whole time. There is an accessory rail that is deemed a universal pattern rail. It's not. There's already a universal pattern. It's called Picatinny. It's 2024. Use Picatinny. It's a universal rail that's already there. I will never understand this fight with manufacturers to not just use actual universal things. I'm certain there is somebody at Magpul and Ruger has a reason in their mind that they're certain is a really good reason to use this pattern. It's a dumb reason. Use Picatinny. Just use Picatinny. Anyway, the Glock 19 has always been a little bit short for my hands, and that's no different here, but there is a magwell that's molded into the frame, and it's actually pretty good. It's not overly exaggerated. My favorite thing about the frame is the thumb pad there. They've got a nice little molded in thumb pad that your thumb can rest on and you can get good leverage on the frame while firing. There's a beaver tail and it's there and it works. But what's not there is any love for lefties. The mag release and slide release are for righties only. As far as handling, it shoots like you would expect it to. And that is to say, it shoots like a Glock 19. The trigger is good. It kind of feels like a Great Value brand Shadow Systems trigger. There's a little bit of take up and a spongy wall, and as you pull it, it just kind of rolls through the break there. It breaks at about 4.5 to 4 3/4 pounds. The biggest thing Ruger's trying to push with the RXM is the fire control insert. The rub is that by removing these 3 pins, the chassis with the trigger mechanism can be taken out and put into other frames. It's just like the Sig P320 fire control unit, which I've never really been that excited about. But I guess you may be able to get a lefty-friendly frame then. Companies like Zev and Shadow Systems have proven that there's a good market for Glock clones, and the RXM is the final nail in the coffin of any argument against that. The RXM brings modern features and comforts to the golden age of Gen 3 Glocks. What the RXM has really done is fire a shot across the bow of Glock to tell them they need to start trying after 40 years of doing the exact same thing, because Ruger and Magpul have managed to do it for a third less the cost and no crappy MOS plate. Now, the RXM isn't enough to bring me back to the Glock platform, but if you're looking at a Glock, you'd be a fool to not look at the Ruger RXM. Anyway, I'm Chris with Jerry'sOutdoorSports.com, and I'll see you next time.